Turner Ashby back at it this week, talking to the head man, Scott Turner. Let's talk about the season as a whole. How do you feel like you guys have performed this year?
I think we've done a good job. Took one in the mouth there earlier in the season from Strasburg, and I think our kids responded and have done a good job finishing up the year. And we're excited to get going here in the playoffs.
Do you feel like your kids feel like they've done a good job this year, even with the 4 seed? Because I think sometimes that can kind of make kids feel like maybe we weren't as good as we thought.
Yeah, I mean, Region 3C is a pretty tough region. There's a lot of teams in there with really good records. So, we're 9-1. That's where we are. We got places the 4 seed, and we've gone about it just like we always have. And this week of practice, and we're trying to get prepared and ready to go against a really good Alleghany team coming in.
As we talk on Wednesday, how's the week of practice been so far?
It's been good. Kids are locked in. They're ready to go. They're excited. I mean, we get a home playoff game, so that's always fun. So they've been excited. They've been working incredibly hard and focused and ready.
If you said it was a bad week of practice, what does a bad week of practice look like to you?
I try not to imagine what a bad week of practice looks like.
Okay, have you ever? Okay, when you have a bad day of practice, what does a bad day look like?
Just maybe not as focused as we need to be, or external distractions, anything like that, kind of getting in the way of the progress that we're trying to make that day. We focus a day at a time and try to be a better football team each day we go out there. So I guess you could say that would be a bad day if we didn't walk off the field that day as a better football team.
So what I'm hearing is mistakes are normally guided by focus, maybe not as much by execution. Am I kind of right?
I mean, I think it's a little of both
Hmm.
sometimes. But it's they're high school kids.
Yeah.
So, we try to we focus a lot of our attention on our attention to detail each day. So that will help us Friday night if something does go wrong. As long as we're doing our job, usually good things happen.
And I'll be honest with you, and I don't know how you feel about this, but I think a lack of focus can lead to a lack of execution.
Oh, I mean, absolutely, absolutely. There's a lot of things that can lead to a lack of execution, I believe. But like I said, we try to focus on our job each day, try to block, tackle, protect the football, and go out Friday night and play as hard as we can for 48 minutes and not worry about the scoreboard. We don't even want to look at it and just see what at the end of the night we'll see what it says and we'll go from there.
What's your normal message in playoff time? Does it switch as the normal message during non-playoff time?
No, no, it stays the same. We truly do preach, one day at a time and focusing on what you need to do to become a better football player. And just going out there and playing fast, smart, and physical, and letting the scoreboard take care of itself. Just doing your job.
Do you want the seniors to have a sense of urgency?
I mean, I want the seniors to have the same sense of whatever it is, each Friday night.
Hmm.
You're only guaranteed 10.
Yep.
Especially as a senior. So, I don't think that their approach needs to change from game one to this one. It's still it's a football game. It's 48 minutes. It's two teams playing. It's 10 yards to get a first down, and whoever has more points at the end is going to move on.
I came to your place, I want to say it was maybe 2 years ago when Heritage came up there. It's not a fun place for visitors, I don't think, to come just because the atmosphere is a little bit different than home. How important is it that Turner Ashby makes the Turner Ashby atmosphere difficult for visitors?
I mean, I don't know what goes on outside the fence. We focus on what goes on inside the fence. We try to be as hospitable as we can to our opponents,
Right.
And then let the game be played. We have a great community. We have great support, and I don't think that'll be any different this Friday night. So, when you get into the playoffs, playing at home, I do feel is important. You can keep your routine a little bit more, and you can kind of do what you do for a home game. So it is important. And like I said, we have a great community and great support. And, they'll come out Friday night and it should be a great night for football.
Well, I will say it was very hospitable. I think my point I was trying to get to is the 12th man, I think, can be more active at home than it can be on the road just because, people are going to come out when the game is 15, 20 minutes away as opposed to, an hour or, longer.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's why it's so important to, try to position yourself when you get here into the playoffs to get to host as many games as you can.
Tell me about Alleghany.
Allegheny's a good football team. Coach Fields over there has done a great job with that group. We played them last year in the semifinals, and they got a lot of those guys back. The quarterback's a problem. He's a heck of a football player. They got a lot of pieces all over the place on both sides of the ball. They'll be ready to go, I'm sure, because like I said, Coach Field does an incredible job over there. His record since that school opened speaks for itself. We're excited for another opportunity to get to play.
You talked about a thing that I think is key right there. You mentioned a lot of players. You said the quarterback's really good, but they've got a lot of pieces. How important is it that you convey to your team, hey, it's not about stopping one guy. We got to stop multiple guys on the other side.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we preach, from defense, offense, special teams, whatever it is, everybody's got a job. You got to do your job. And, if we got 11 people doing their job, flying to the football and executing for 48 minutes, then like I said, we that's what we want. And so yes, but they're scary. Okay, they're a scary group on both sides of the ball. Our kids will, like I said, they practice well this week, and I think they'll be ready for the test, and we'll line up and see what happens.
Coach, best of luck against Alleghany, and hopefully we'll see you down the road.
Absolutely, thank you.